the DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Midday Market Report for Tuesday, February 14th, 2023. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone out there watching and listening today. A couple-week hiatus between myself and a special friend, and I don't want to say guest, almost like a co-host. We've been doing shows for years and years and years, and we had said to each other, it's time to get this gentleman on Tuesdays right around 1:30, which is really 10:30 a.m. his time. A little L.A. West Coast flair, one of the true OGs in our lanes, and I'm glad that I can call him a good friend. Let's welcome back the one and only Mr. Pop DiBiase.
What's up, world? Always a pleasure to be with the Don of Cape Cod himself, Mr. Jeff Dawson. You guys already know we go way back, and you guys already know what time it is, man. If you was on the Captain stuff, you really know that you really with the sports betting stuff. If you was with the Captain world, and all that stuff, because Captain was when I used to be a little writer, you know what I mean? Because I used to really love to write about these games. Like, seriously, I used to really look forward to writing those 6 paragraphs long. I still remember writing daily articles about. And see, I don't care what anybody believes. If we can go find the transcripts, it's all there. It's written down that I called the 3-1 with the Cavaliers and the Warriors. I literally called it. I wrote it literally every single game that we had after game 4. I started writing, okay, Cavs should be able to do this tonight. They win. Cavs should be able to do this tonight. They win. Because what I saw in that series was that the Cavs gave away that game 4. And it was in a bad fashion the way that they gave away that game for Jeff, because they should have won the game. Like, everything said they're going to win the game, but they didn't. And I said, the Warriors aren't better than them. And I caught that in game 4. Like, they're not better than them. And if LeBron catches what I caught, then they should win this series. And there we go. History was made. And literally, it's there. The proof is in pudding. Anybody can look up Sean. I'm trying to think of Sean's last name, but Sean should bring that stuff up for you guys. And Manhattan Iona, love that one too. Manhattan Iona, that was a good one as well.
We had ECSI Media Group had our very own Radio Row from Cape Cod. Mass is legal, as you know. The mobile app world will open up on March 10th. Will be exciting times, up to 10 mobile apps here in Massachusetts with the 5 or so brick and mortars. But you were there. You were in the fire. You were in Arizona on Radio Row. And obviously next year, the Super Bowl is in Vegas, which is, I don't think it's going to be able to handle it in regards to the shitstorm that will be there for that week to 10 days leading up to the Super Bowl. So first, give us a little play-by-play. Give us your week in Arizona on Radio Row, Pops.
Well, Monday is always a little slow. Literally, everybody's just getting into town and everything like that. But it's a good day to get your credentials, know exactly where you're at and things like that. And you might catch some people. But really, it's all about opening day at whatever venue that they had this year. When we were at Miami, we were at the baseball stadium, the Marlins Park. This year, we were over at the Suns Arena Footprint Center, which was right down the street from the convention center where Radio Row was at. That was fun. We were able to run around a little bit and get some good interviews as well. I got Robert Quinn, N'Kobe Dean, also Eric Bieniemy as well too. Was able to actually interview the Chiefs owner, Clark Hunt, and I was able to take a picture with the Harris of the Chiefs as well too, Gracie Hunt, who is a that might be the most. I'm telling you right now, you guys keep talking about the Beyoncés and the Rihannas of the world. Meet you some Gracie Hunt, and I think that you'll change your mind a little bit because that woman is beautiful, smart, just everything. She got everything going on right now. There is nothing bad that I have to say about the woman, and she was the nicest, sweetest person ever. And she did call me a sweetheart as well too. So because I had to kick some a little bit of game in there. But yeah, we met her, and then I actually had a fun time with a sit down interview with Jordan Davis as well too, because Jordan had just got out there. Jordan said, "Man, we can do the interview, but I want to sit down." I said, "Can I sit down with you?" He said, "Man, it will only be right if you sit down with me." So I was able to sit down with him and talk with him a little bit. And also Lucas Niang was a great interview as well too, a guy from the DFW area. So we were able to talk TCU a little bit. And he was a big piece to winning that Super Bowl as well too. So Tuesday we were able to get the ball rolling a little bit. I was able to interview Eric Burns. And Eric Burns is working with a station called No Filter Network which houses the Tony Bruno show right now. Tony Bruno has a show that comes on every Friday. We all know Tony Bruno. So I was right next to Tony Bruno all week, the legend. We were able to interview Trey Wingo as well, too. Also, we got Kenny Mayne, legendary Kenny Mayne as well. So that was this week, usually you sit there, you do your interviews and everything like that. But this week we were doing some walk and talks on Friday. I was able to get Emmett, Champ Bailey, Ricky Williams, Chris Johnson, score others, Vernon Davis. We got a whole bunch of stuff coming. I also got an exclusive interview with Steven Espinosa, the head of Showtime Sports, and everybody knows the face of Showtime Boxing as well too. He was able to give me some updates on everything. So your Ryan Garcia Tank fight should be happening on April 15th. We talked about that. Possible venue choices for Errol Spence and Thurman. Looks like that they'll be headed back to Jerry's World for that one. And once that fight is locked and loaded, but they still are talking to Bud Crawford as well too. I think that fight will be slated more towards Las Vegas, but I would think that if you really want to really get the most bang for your buck, I know that it sounds crazy right now, but I would feel like taking the fight to, say, a Staples Center, which they call the Crypto. Now, I'm never going to call it the Crypto. It's always the Staples Center to me. It's just like if you name Fenway Park Costco Park. Like, we're not going to call Fenway Costco. Like, we're not doing that. It's Fenway, son. It's Fenway. Just like this is Staples. Are we just going to call it Chick Hearn's Court? I don't care. But we're not calling it Crypto.com because Crypto.com might not be in business in 18 months. So, yeah, we're not doing that. So pretty much I would say Staples would be the best spot for that fight because it's a Hollywood and it's really no bias there. Vegas, you might get a little bias for Crawford. Texas, you might get a little bias for Errol. But I think in California, you're on equal terms, and the winner and the best of the best will win the fight. But I know crazy boxing fans will be like, we should put it in SoFi. Boxing ain't that big right now, y'all. I'm sorry. You can't, because just like, let's put the Wilder Fury at Eliante Stadium. I'm like, why? So we could have 15,000 people there. It's a 70,000 seats arena. You know what I mean? We're not doing that. You know what I mean? People have to understand that. I have a good question I asked them about, promoters and boxers and why pay-per-view is so needed still nowadays. And it's some good answers there from Steven Espinosa as well too. So it's just a lot of things moving we're moving in the right direction. We were able to get a lot of interviews. We were able to make a lot of connections as well too. And it looks like that we are taking our platform to a bigger platform, but I'll be making that big announcement for you guys to later on today. But looks like that we are headed over to No Filter Network as well too. Hopefully Jeff joins us with some of his shows as well too, because that's a good little place. But we'll talk a little bit more about it off air because I don't want to take up too much time talking about that. But yeah, good things. And one thing that was very, very good for me moving forward was I got a lot of compliments from a lot of the right people, and Jake Plummer was really floored by my interview style. Also, Brian Bader was very impressed with me as well too. So, with just moving on up, I always like to be unique with what I do, and pretty much try to make sure that that these people are getting a real sports interview. I'm not into the TMZ stuff. I don't care about what's going on with somebody's life. You know what I mean? That's none of my business because we all gotta live. We all gotta do what we do, and sometimes do things that ain't gonna make the world happy, but it makes us happy. So I'm not gonna judge anybody on that accord. But I'm here for sports. I'm not here for the Dr. Phil break down for me stories. You know what I mean? If I want to do all that, I'd be Roy Firestone. Remember that Jerry Maguire? He said, "Damn, every time somebody gets on this show, Roy get him to cry. Every time. I'm not, man, when I meet him, I'm not gonna cry." So that's what I'm looking at. But shout out to you, man, Dave Sherapan as well too. Boston versus the Buck. He was up there as well too. He got a lot of good guests. I saw what he was doing, but he was doing good. It was great seeing him as well too. It was two booths in front of me because they had us in the back. But he was two booths in front of me, and they looked like they had it going on. They had a nice little screen, everything. It was funny when we was in Miami. We had ours up. And then they complained about it. But we was in Miami though. There were some other people. Well, they're saying that you're blocking them out. And it's like, well, we're all the way at the fucking end. What the fuck is the problem? You know what I mean? Excuse my language, but it gets like that at the Super Bowl. Sometimes they start if your desk is kind of empty, they'll look over and be like, "Hey, man, are you guys actually using this?" Like, because there are people who are signed up who don't show up. So, or they just don't show up for Radio Row. They show up for the game. You know what I mean? So it is what it is at the end of the day. But the walk and talks were really good. I would say that you guys don't ever be too surprised or too disappointed if Donovan McNabb doesn't give you an autograph. It's not the coolest guy. You know what I mean? So, I'm just giving you guys heads up. They're just human. So don't run back to Twitter getting too mad about things because they do have a tendency to look over people as well too. So that's just something that you got to understand. I know growing up in our time, Jeff. I know you're a little bit older than me, but we all we all were around in the '80s, and we all remember. Hey, if that guy doesn't see you, he just didn't see you. Nowadays, if the guy doesn't see you, they're gonna put it on the internet. It's gonna be a big story, and then you look like the biggest a-hole in the world. Ask Steph Curry. He has to go to the back. The kid has his jersey. He doesn't see the kid. They felt like he saw the kid, but he didn't see the kid. He goes to the back. They make a big stink about it on the internet. Then the kid gets a Disney World apology, and these kids expect that to be it every single time that they get sad or mad about something. So we are giving out a kind of a we've given out expectations that are very rare. You know what I
mean? The game itself, it's funny. You and I have done 3 years of the NFL Bet Exchange.
Mm-hmm.
I was early to actually, let's go back to the first year. I talked about Mahomes. Listen, the kid's legit. He's got the right. It was the perfect storm. Andy and company, Kansas City, moved up to get him. They handed him the clipboard. They said, Alex Smith is our guy. Take a year of notes. He's going to groom you, mentor you, and you'll be ready for the next year. So 5 straight AFC championships, 3 Super Bowls, 2 wins. His loss was at Tampa against no light tackle. You knew in the first quarter it was over. This Super Bowl, I talked to you. I talked to anyone that wanted to listen. The Circa released 2.5. They were favored. The first 25 bets, 22 of them all came on to Philly, and the line went all the way to Philly -2, 2.5 in some spots. You know me. Believe, trust, respect the opening number. We were with Kansas City the whole time. If you were a Philly backer and watched the first half, you couldn't have wrote a better script. They were playing keep away, long drives, death by 10,000 paper cuts, great on third down, great on fourth down. At the end of the half, Mahomes comes up the field limping. He got his ankle rolled. Rihanna, listen, I'm hip, the newer music, and I just turned around. We had a boatload of people here in the studios. It was effortless. She just made it look so easy. Didn't break a sweat. She was just amazing. Okay. Second half, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the offense was amazing. The defense got stops when it had to. The rest was history. Give us your analysis, your thoughts before kickoff, and how the game progressed.
Well, I'm like you, Jeff. I saw the moment we already knew what was up. We were looking at the predetermined odd numbers before any of these games were over. And everything had Chiefs. If they would have played the Niners, they were going to be a 3-point favorite. If they would have played, they're playing the Eagles, they're going to be a 2-point favorite. I always felt like the Eagles Chiefs should have been a pick 'em game regardless of anything, because you had the best two teams in football going at it, and literally there was common proof. But let's keep it real. Even me during Super Bowl week last week, most of the experts, most of the veterans that I did interview were very, very strong about Philadelphia having a pretty much a walk in the park day against the Chiefs, because they were that convinced that this was the best team in all of football, period, point blank. And they did have a good point. This team trailed for 84 minutes and 23 seconds all season. That's a game in 2 quarters, Jeff. That's a game and a half. That's a game and a half, and it was really only against 2 teams. So that's a number that we've never seen before. And literally, this team just knew how to be in the lead throughout the game. Them jumping out double digits, things like that, that was just our regular scheduled program. And going into the game, the more and more we got to the game, the more and more confident I got in the Chiefs, regardless of what any situation, scenario they put themselves in. Because if the Chiefs because if anybody had to come back, it was going to be the Chiefs. The Eagles were not going to be able to come back from any big deficit in that game. Because the thing is, their coach has a game plan prepared for them to be ahead. Their coach doesn't really have anything that has them in place that says, okay, this is how we're going to respond when we get behind. Jalen Hurts played the game of games, but he did way too much at the end of the day. The 304 passing, that's great, but the 70 yards running, and then you only get 44 behind that. After that, you know what I mean, from a crew that was really good. They had a true 3-headed monster there in Philadelphia. They got nothing from those guys. They got everything from Jalen. I felt like Jalen went way too Lamar in this game. And when I started looking at the numbers, I started looking at the stats. This guy had 374 yards, a total offense. The rest of the team had 44 as a group. That is not good at all, in my opinion. I feel like you put way too much on your quarterback. And when it was time to really be clutch and really eat that clock, they had everything for that. So first half, the Eagles come out. They are getting everything works for the Eagles. Just like you said, everything's working there. The offensive line is doing exactly what they've been doing the last 6 weeks, dominant. And then Jalen's getting big plays down the field. All those touchdowns were all big pass plays. All of it. The AJ Green touchdown, the him setting up his 2 touchdowns in the first half as well too. All those were big time throws that he made throughout the first half. And you said, man, he's slinging that thing. He's doing everything right. He looks like the MVP of the NFL. And then you look on the other side, the Philadelphia's defense was doing exactly what they've been doing all year, dominant. But they weren't getting to the quarterback. For literally. Our guy Pat, he's over here playing survival mode, but he's surviving. He's not hitting the ground. He's not losing any yardage. Even though they started a little slow, I don't care what anybody says. When they jumped out to that 14-7 lead and were looking like they were about to go 21-7 at that point, when we get the scoop and score, that made all the difference in this game. This game easily turns into a blowout without the scoop and score. 21-7 ain't good. 24-7 going into the half ain't good. Or even 31-7. Possibility of being 31-7 going into the half. It wouldn't have been good. It would have been a Patriot comeback, in my opinion. It would have been, hey, Eagles, damn, this is looking like the 85 game with the Bears and the Pats. You know what I mean? But that play right there by Bolton, and also I forgot to list it. I ran 15 bets, and one of them I said, let's do a defensive touchdown for fun. It's plus 630 for the Chiefs, because I think the Chiefs scored a defensive touchdown today. They score a defensive touchdown plus 630. So if you had that one, I saw Sheridan put that up as well too. If you had that one, hey, that's some good ass handicapping right there. That's playing the value right there. That's really playing a prop for real, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So I just truly feel like the first half, the Eagles really were business as usual. And if you were an Eagles fan, you were comfortable. You were, we got this. But then you forgot that you're not the team receiving the ball here in the second half. And if Pat gets on the board right away, field goal or touchdown, it's a whole brand new ball game. And literally, if you're smart enough to know that you're dealing with the MVP of the NFL, this game ain't over for nothing. It's only a 10-point deficit. Pat already did that. He already been there, done that against the San Francisco 49ers, who had a better defense than this San Francisco 49ers team as well, too. And probably some better offensive weapons outside of A.J. Brown and Smith. You know what I mean? So when you look at going into the half, you Eagles, you're really confident. But he had back in the Chiefs, I said, I'm all right. I got Andy Reid. I got Mahomes. And that's what my whole idea has been going into this game. I can trust these two. I can't trust Sirianni. I can't trust and Jalen Hurts. I could trust him, but I can't trust your coach. That's the problem, because your coach gets too excited. So we get to the second half, and I tell myself the best way for the Chiefs to go about this, they have to eat up this clock. It doesn't matter what happens. They got to eat up this clock so this defense can get some rest. The defense wasn't getting no rest. That was the problem. If they had no rest in the first half. So what does he do? He goes out there. He has a 7-minute drive. And half of that drive was opened up by Pacheco. And I said, the moment Pacheco became a factor in this game, I had him as the X factor going into this game. The moment that Pacheco started getting used in the offensive scheme, now we get to go back to being a basic NFL offense. Now we're going to 80s, 90s West Coast offense this thing to a T. We're going to San Francisco 49er Bill Walsh this thing right on up. We're going to figure out little trinket plays, little things like that, but we're going to get things going with the run game. We're going to physical. So we're going to start beating this defensive line up as we go, because this back end is nothing. We're going to get him. We're going to get to him when we need to get to him. So instead of going for these long bombs and putting Patrick in a position to where he could possibly throw picks, they gave him the shortest, best routes, period. He turned it to Tommy check down. Seriously. And a big beneficiary of that, nobody's going to talk about this, but how huge was Juju on the final drive? 4 straight catches on that final drive. Yeah, he only had 43 yards and 7 catches, but those were the 4 most important catches of the game. So when you look at the way that they played in the second half, just like I said on my show yesterday, and I know this is me saying a lot because we've had our back and forth about Pat Mahomes and me being a constant, big, juicy hater on him. But the thing is, though, I can admit that because I felt like he was being pampered. He was one of these entitled guys, and it's just who the hell are you? You know what I mean? You went to Texas Tech, and you got Andy Reid as your head coach. I wouldn't see this happening with the Bears. I wouldn't see this happening with a toxic team like the Jets or the Browns. But you get Andy Reid, so it might be better. Let me give you a great story about Patrick Mahomes. I bet Patrick Mahomes his first ever start in the NFL, which was against the Chargers. He was a 6.5-point dog that day. I took them on the money line because I knew he would be a special quarterback from the last game he had played in the season, and knowing that the Chargers were going to mess that thing up anyway. He went out there and absolutely was tremendous. You know, they barely even knew his name, who was already handing him, Hall of Fame glory. So Patrick Mahomes has been a great player since day one. So there's nothing against that. It's just they put a lot on him. It's like the cute fuzzy kid. It's like the kid in class that they always pick on to be the line leader. It gets annoying after a while. You know what I mean? He's not the only person here, but he has earned the right to say that he is the best quarterback in the NFL after that second half of play. Because his first time around, let's keep it real, he got bailed out by the run game a lot when they won that championship game. He made the right throws, but Damian Harris made the key plays. This time around, Pacheco made the key plays, but the guy that kept him steady and kept him right where it kept him confident was Patrick. Patrick came into that second half and he was cold as ice. He did not blink. He wasn't scared. He knew exactly what they had to do. They had to score on each and every drive, and the defense got my back. He knew that defense had his back because from that first drive on, the defense said, we're not giving up nothing else for the rest of the day. They gave 11 points in the second half. It was a touchdown, a late touchdown, but they really only gave a field goal in reality. You know what I mean? That's how good that performance was by Pat Mahomes. It was able to elevate his defense as well, too, because he gave his defense some time to breathe. And then they didn't make it to where it had to be, let's get it all at once. Let's take our time. Let's bust them down. And by the time we get them to where we want to get them to here in the final parts of the game, it is what it is. We can go ahead and win this game. And my final point is that everybody needs to get over that final play of the game as well, too. That reminds me a lot of what happened in New Orleans years ago with Baltimore and San Francisco. They didn't call that. San Francisco fans are still talking about that to this day, that they should have called a PI in the end zone. So they didn't call it, right? But we said it was a bang-bang play because it was a bang-bang play, Jeff. There was no chance of that man catching the ball. We run into the same scenario, but you're 10 yards further from the ball. You're not at the 2-yard line this time around. You're at the 10. So what happens is he holds on to the guy. You hope that the ref didn't see it. The ref saw it. They're going to call that flag in any game. It doesn't matter. They're going to call it. And literally the Chiefs, if they're aiming to get a first down, they were never thinking scoring. They were thinking about getting the final kick with 10 seconds left to go on the clock. So all in all, if they would have scored a touchdown right there, it puts even more pressure on the Eagles. So you can't say they were going to win the game because, he would have kicked the field goal 90 seconds earlier. No, you still have to go win the game. So at the end of the day, it was just, we want the game. We don't want the game to end like that. But it is what it is at the end of the day. If they don't call it, Chiefs fans got a gripe. Because if the Eagles win the game, that's a big-ass gripe. And so it doesn't matter. That call was going to mar anything that goes on with the game. But fortunate enough, it went to the Chiefs side. So it is what it is at the end of the day. But great performance from Patrick Mahomes. So that ain't no sugarcoat. That's just me respecting the game of football at the end of the day. Sometimes you got to put your bullshit to the side and actually appreciate what you're watching. See, LeBron haters, it's not that hard. It's not that hard.
And the locals are sitting on eggshells now because if you actually break down the first 5 years, Patrick Mahomes is pacing the same way that Tom Brady is, but that's for a whole nother show. So couple more topics we'll get on to. Trade deadline's over. Give us the state of the union for the Lakers. LeBron, since you led into him. Happy with what happened, what transpired. Listen, I said all along Westbrook was coming to Dallas. That's what all my people said. And I think it's just me. I think Kyrie chirped enough where Dallas said, all right, we'll take our shot with Kyrie. We'll give up a couple players. So they actually they'll save $55 million next year on the cap if they don't re-sign Kyrie, where the Westbrook would have been $45 million. So give us the state of the union for LeBron, the Lakers, and your thoughts.
Well, LeBron's out right now, ankle injury. He's been trying to sit out for a while now, but he was chasing a record. I feel like if he was hurt, then why are we worried about chasing a record? Why don't we get him healthy? But that foot's never going to be healthy like the way he wants it, like anybody wants to be healthy without some type of surgery. And once you have that surgery, then your game will suffer. It's that simple. It's really the sign of the times for LeBron James. LeBron James was granted a few extra years of athletic fraternity, athletic greatness, but it's coming to abrupt end. It may be a sad end as well too, because this foot injury that he has is really talks of retirement. To be honest with you, because you're 38. How much longer do you want to go? You've accomplished everything that you need to accomplish in the NBA. You've already won a championship for the Lakers. So at this point in time, you're just being kind of selfish if you feel that you have an injury that you can't go on with. You know what I mean? But I think that LeBron James getting the scoring record was absolutely amazing, tremendous, because people have to understand. I've been around for this whole ride as well too. I've been watching the kid since he was a sophomore at St. Vincent St. Mary's, and him being hated on. It's been this whole 20 years, Jeff. You know what I mean? We used to be in high school laughing, especially the year that he was a junior. They lost state. You know, they and he kept talking about, I'm going to the NBA. We were laughing like this dude thinks he really can go to the NBA and they can't even beat these 5'11" guys out here in Ohio. What? Stop it. And then next thing you know, he's on ESPN every week, and you just see this man child. And really, it was just a man playing with boys. And it was like, he's a little bit too damn good for this high school scene. And he might be a little bit too good for college. And then you got to the NBA. Well, NBA is hard. It's hard. And then you saw that first game against the Sacramento Kings, and he got that breakaway, and he almost dunked from the free throw line. He said, well, Houston, we got a problem. Michael Jordan, move over because you got company. And it's been on ever since with LeBron. And him getting the scoring title, all that stuff, every award LeBron James has ever gotten, it seems like it was much deserved because he's shown and proved on the basketball court how great of a player he truly is. And that's one thing that we all just have to give him love for. I know a lot of people just, they can't let go of the Jordan factor. They can't let go of the Kobe factor. But the one thing is, though, he topped the guy that all the real OGs call the GOAT, and that's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That's the standard. You know what I mean? Jordan is the global standard, but the hoop standard is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar when it comes to being successful in the sport of basketball overall. The man won four New York State high school championships, city championships. That's the equivalent of a Division II CBA type situation. He goes to UCLA, wins 3 national championships, 3-time National Player of the Year for the greatest coach to ever coach college basketball, who had the greatest run in college basketball. Then he goes to the NBA and immediately wins a championship. There's no comparison. There's nobody that can be compared to him except for a guy named Wilt and a guy named Bill. And that's it, and that's all. And I know that we talk about modern times and all that good stuff, but those times made those guys, motivated those guys to be this great. And, a guy who gets lost in the fold a lot, and Michael Jordan will tell you in a heartbeat that he looked up to him too, Elgin Baylor. So, and he was the first of his kind. Elgin Baylor was MJ before MJ. He's the blueprint of what all these high-flying guys are today. And I wish somebody would come and try to argue that point with me, because they will get shut down in a heartbeat, because everybody knows this. Everybody who knows basketball knows this, because guys was just out there a 1 and a 2. And you got Baylor out there. He's skying, finger rolling, doing everything. So it's just crazy that when you look at it and you look at the top 10, 5 of them are Lakers. But I'm not going to give LeBron the props of an all-time Laker. He's a Laker renegade, just like Wilt. You were Lakers, but you weren't Lakers. You feel what I'm saying? You were at the end of your greatness of your career. But LeBron James coming to the Lakers was probably the smartest thing for the end of his career than anything, because it would have just been way over the top. It would have just been it would have been as celebrated in Cleveland. It would have been more as, oh, he did it, and it was with the Cavs. Well, he did it with the Lakers, and it's the Lakers, and the Lakers have the all-time leading scorer. Now they have this other guy that is the all-time leading scorer, and then they had the guy who was the all-time leading scorer before that. Then the other guy who's the all-time leading scorer before that. So the Lakers has got a tremendous history when it comes to those top players. So it is what it is. But to answer your question, the Lakers are on the playoff run. I thought we did very well in the trade market. Getting rid of Westbrook, it was kind of a love-hate situation for me because we do let go one of our better defenders, one of our better steal guys, but we also do let go a guy that is kind of like a hindrance to what the coaching staff wants to do in a sense. Now the coaching staff doesn't have any excuses. You know what I mean? I don't really believe in Darvin Ham as a coach anyway, but now he has a little bit of leeway to go ahead and actually coach the team that he wants, coach the team the way that he wants to. I think that D'Angelo Russell getting a second chance in LA is something that he was looking forward to because he did want to come back and play for the Lakers. He never wanted to leave. You also have Hachimura, who I feel will be a very significant player, especially if the Lakers are able to make the playoffs because he was doing really well last night. I like that little 15-inch jumper that he has. It's damn near automatic. Malik Beasley, he's a great shooter, and Jarrett Vanderbilt does a little bit of everything. So I was happy to get guys like Pat Beverly off the team because he has the most unnecessary technicals at the worst time. You can't have guys that are always thinking about themselves. You know what I mean? They're always trying to have a fight. We're not in the 80s, 90s NBA anymore. You don't need those guys really on your team anymore. They have to really be gifted to be in this league, in my opinion. Like, you have to do more than just talk and be a mouth. You know what I mean? So, that was good getting rid of Pat Bev. Also, I know we got rid of other players as well, too, but they weren't doing much of anything anyway. They were just kind of taking up roster space. Losing Tommy Bryant was kind of big because Tommy Bryant is good energy. So, I do like the way that we're going right now. Mo Bamba is a guy that we haven't talked about enough, but I think Mo Bamba could be a big pickup for the Lakers as well, too, because he needed a new home because he wasn't doing much in Orlando, and he's another really hyped up top 10 pick as well, too. So the Lakers are in a good spot, in my opinion. I think that they can do some things. They did lose last night by 12 points, but they won against the Warriors the night before on Saturday. So the Lakers just have to take it one game at a time. They really do need to probably win their next 3 out of 4 so they can end this month in a good position of 5-5. They only had 10 games this month. But I would say this, just go ahead and leave LeBron on the bench till after the All-Star break. That's fine. And then let AD and D'Angelo get to know each other a little bit better. They were already talking about the pick and roll all night long in the Warriors game about how they can be better at that together. So I'm thinking that you have yourself a nice little duo here with AD and with D'Angelo. I think that these guys coming to the Lakers now, AD has to take it upon himself that these are his guys and that LeBron is your guy too. You got to take the leadership role away from LeBron and let LeBron just be a player out there. And I think that if you let LeBron just be a player out there, you can limit his minutes a little bit more as we get to the playoffs, and he can still score at the same clip that he's scoring at. But we're not asking him to do everything. You know what I mean? I think that we just start sharing the responsibilities a little bit more, and the Lakers will easily make the playoffs because every time they got guys that are sharing responsibility, somebody has a job, they've been killing teams. But every time we scatter out, it's just about LeBron and AD, and some other guys shooting a three, then we're losing. So the Lakers are just this close to being one of the better teams in the NBA and then being where they're at now because I think the Lakers have the most close losses in sports this year, pretty much point blank. You know what I mean? I ain't never seen a team come back from 19 down this many times and lose a game. Seriously. I don't know how many times they've been down 20 points and made it.
Last question in the NBA: buying or selling the Suns?
I'm selling because you're not getting back KD till mid-March. That's not happening. Booker's probably another injury away from being out for another 2 or 3 weeks because he's still high. He's still gimpy. Ayton is probably your best bet right now, but I would say if they're able to all get together before mid-March, you might have a chance, but I think that Phoenix has pretty much put themselves in a hole because the 3 players that they sent to Brooklyn were their 3 core role players that are really, really good at making sure that they actually blow these teams out, and lock up defensively. Now they go to Brooklyn, and Brooklyn's still going to sneak in as the 6th seed this year because they got now Jock and coach. You know what I mean? He can just coach some guys instead of massaging the egos of KD and Kyrie. You know what I mean? So that's how I see that one. And I think that the Suns I just don't like it. I just think that the Suns were being desperate, but they're trying to get a championship. They're trying to get a ring because they're about to blow this whole thing up. They got a brand new owner coming in, $4 billion. He's going to want a fresh start. He's going to fire the coach. It's all going to happen because it's a toxic situation. They'll want to clean house all the way. I think the only safe person on that team is going to be Booker. And, you can get assets for Aiden right now as well and Chris Paul. So, at the end of the day, he's giving them an opportunity to try to win a championship. If they can't do it, then everybody's gone. It's that simple. And the Mavericks, I think that the Mavericks are kind of shooting their shot right now, but I don't see the Kyrie Luka thing working. I just don't because, Luka has his way, Kyrie has his way, and I think that it won't mesh at the end of the day because neither one plays superior defense, and that's going to be key to really winning a playoff series. You know what I mean? One of y'all got to play a little bit of defense, and I don't see either one of them trying to do it. So that's how I feel in that regard with them as well, too. But I think the team that won the most in the Western Conference was the team that didn't make the trade, the Nuggets. They're all still chasing the Nuggets at the end of the day because nobody's better than this Jokic-Murray combination when they got it going. Period, point blank. Aaron Gordon, one of the more unheralded players in the NBA. This is a good team. KCP, great bench player. Bones Highland just got traded. But, they got play. Jeff, they got guys. They run 10 deep, and they don't get enough love and enough credit. But the Denver Nuggets needed no help. Everybody else did. And that's what happens when you're the best team in the Western Conference and everybody's gearing up to beat you. So right now, if we look at it, I hate to say it, but the Denver Nuggets are in the driver's seat to get to the NBA Finals right now because they're not panicking. Everybody else is in panic mode. You know what I mean? And I think that's absolutely tremendous. And I think that Brooklyn did the absolutely correct thing at this point in time. Enough is enough. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, they don't have a great owner. They don't have a great front office. But what they do have is a coach that's willing to coach scrappy players that will show up every single day without complaining. The Nets have to understand exactly who they are. You know what I mean? The Nets are not big. They're not the Knicks. You know what I mean? You're in the Clipper category. You're in the Mets category. You're in the Anaheim Ducks category situations. You have to play to what your team really is. You know what I mean? You second fiddle in New York City. It's that simple. They got KD and Kyrie and still weren't the most popular team in New York. Jeff, come on. They were still worried about KD. You should have just came to us.
We talked behind stage. We'll wrap it up with this. UCLA, I told you behind stage, I think pound for pound, the best team out west. I don't even think it's close. I talked about Arizona. I told you I take my 35-1 on St. Mary's going further than Arizona this year. Right. Give us your West Coast UCLA Bruins. I mean, listen, I still think 10-1's a nice price. I love what they're doing. I love their coach. I think they got talent. They can play defense. They can play both styles. I like what I'm seeing out there with the Bruins.
All right, and real quick before I move forward on this, the Arizona Cardinals have went ahead and selected their brand new head coach, which is going to be Jonathan Gannon of the Eagles, former their defense coordinator. So the Eagles defensive coordinator is headed to so he doesn't leave Arizona. He's headed to Arizona as their brand new head coach. Another low tier hire, in my opinion. Somebody that they can easily replace. Just a cheap, they're going cheap on these head coaches this year, man. And the Colts, they hired their guy earlier today, so I think that every spot has been filled up, Jeff, for the year. So Eric Bieniemy has been left out again. But you know what? He'll probably be in Tampa next year because we know that Tampa's that we all know about is on a one-year situation. But to UCLA is in a position right now. They got Stanford and Cal this week, the Cali schools. Then they line it up next weekend with Arizona State. They actually finished the season up against Arizona as well too. They got more games though. They're at home this week, and I think that they have it's not the Washington game, but I'm trying to think, do they have more games next week? Because season ends on the 4th. They got 6 games left, I think. They got 2 against the Cali schools this weekend. I'm trying to they just beat the Oregon schools. Oh, yeah, they play Utah and Colorado. Yeah, Utah and Colorado will be a part of the end of the month games. So their biggest weekend is going to be back at Poly with playing Arizona State, who's a really good team, and Zona, who's the pretty much for the Pac-12 1 seed. You know what I mean? And I think that right now it's a 2-horse race in the Pac-12, even though the Pac-12 does always yield some of the biggest upsets in conference tournaments in basketball. We saw what happened with Oregon State a few years ago. 8-seeded team waltzes into the championship game and wins it. Oregon State had one of the more impressive runs. Oregon State, Georgetown, all those teams had an impressive. That was an impressive postseason conference tourney year. But UCLA is in good shape to just go ahead and run away with this tournament. And my biggest worry with UCLA is making it out the first weekend, because first weekend to me in the NCAA tournament is going to be really, really tough this year. They're going to have some really good teams in this mix. I'm not talking about the teams that are at large bids where you just get in. I'm talking about the teams that, have won conference tournaments, championships, things like that. They're going to be really tough. But what happens is that the way that these matchups are going to line up, there's going to be a lot of heads rolling as well too. So I can really feel like, if you're one of these top 2-3 seeds in the tourney, even a 1 seed, that you have to be on the lookout Saturday and Sunday, because those games are going to be much tougher this year than they were last year, in my opinion. I think that you have so much parity in college basketball, and you already said we got 15 different teams you think that could cut down in that. So when you have a scenario like that, you literally have a whole round of teams that you think that can win this thing. So that's why I said opening weekend is going to be a lot for a lot of teams, because you're going to have to step it up, and you're going to have to play on that level immediately. It can't be no slack a minute. We take our time, none of that. So I think that whoever is the most aggressive and whoever is the most who executes the most is going to wind up the national champion. But UCLA is going to really be tested here early here in the first few rounds. I think they won't have issues with the first round, but from that point on, they're going to have to bring their A game every game, because UCLA does have a little bit of an issue when it comes to scoring as well too. They play the greatest defense, but sometimes when you play the greatest defense, you spend a lot of time not scoring points as well too, because you're exerting so much energy on defense. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But I do like UCLA to be a Final Four team, really in the national title this year. But we'll see how it goes, Jeff, because if they run them into another blue blood late like they did last year with North Carolina, then I don't know. You know what I mean? You just don't know. And, hopefully they'll run them into a hot team like they did Gonzaga in the Final Four, because, if you're a UCLA fan, that's still breaking your heart to this day. So, it is what it is at the end of the day. But all in all, UCLA is in good shape. Mick Cronin, I would call the coach of the year at this point, even though he probably won't get it. I think they'll hand it to the guy over at Alabama. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out, Jeff. But UCLA is still in good shape, and I still have them winning both the conference and the postseason tournament as well, too.
Yeah, I'll close with them. This week, Ken Palm's got them 15-point winners against Stanford, 24-point winners against Cal. It will get a little sketchy. The following week, they traveled to Utah. Ken Palm's got them 4-point winners. And then they go to Colorado, which will probably be that Fox Sunday night game. And They got them beating Colorado by 7. And then the last 2 games, Arizona State and Arizona, they got them winning by 13. And you'll be impressed with this one. March 6th, Saturday, Ken Palm's got them beating Arizona by 7. So if I saw one hiccup, it might be at that Utah on the 23rd. If they get by that one, maybe the high altitude at Colorado, they'll have no problem at home the last two. But definitely in my eyes, second weekend, no problems. I think they get through the first weekend. Then obviously, you got the Sweet 16, Elite 8 games. It's all about matchups. Good chance they can get a number one seed and keep them out west, which would be big stuff for them there. I'll throw you the slow curve. Wrap it up with a couple seconds on the Dodgers. Anything you're hearing, pitches and catches, they're on the way. Take me out to the ball game, World Baseball Classic. I know you bleed Dodger blue, so I'll let you be Vin Scully for a few moments.
Well, I can't never be like Vin. Maybe I could be like Rick Monday, but Vin is Vin. But all in all, the Dodgers looks like we got a lot of good pitching coming on this year. We got Rojas, a really good middle infielder. We got our shortstop situation taken care of. We're more about the defensive shortstop this year than anything. It's all good to have a guy who can hit and all that stuff. But yeah, the Dodgers did the right thing in making their defense better. I know that the key position for a open spot right now is center field as well too. So the Dodgers probably will find somebody either in the farm system that they've been looking at for some time, or they'll move somebody to that spot. But they do need to find a center fielder with the defensive presence of Cody Bellinger. That was one reason why Cody Bellinger was still on the team, was because he was a hell of a defensive player as well too. So the Dodgers really are moving and grooving in a good shape and form. They got they got Bauer out the locker room as well too. He's not coming back. And I'm hearing that they got some really good arms that coming from the AA and AAA that are going to get some extra looks. And if they do pretty good, they may be coming up to the big show. And I know that Vargas is a guy that they're really heavy on, and he looks to be everyday guy this year as well too, especially with Edwin Rios being released as well. So they have that in the works as well. And then you got Outman. Outman is seen as the next big thing. He's seen as the next Cody Bellinger, next Corey Seager. He should be huge. He had a huge day at Colorado. Literally, like, if you can't hit at Colorado, you're not on our team. I've came to realize that. Like, usually Dodgers stay Dodgers, they have a big day in Colorado. You know what I mean? You got to have a big day in Colorado to prove that you're really a part of this team. So you have that. I just think that we are in a good place right now. The Dodgers were able to actually get a guy who closes as well too. They picked up a Cards pitcher the other day, a guy who's set to be challenged for the closer role. So the Dodgers are a team of new young faces, in my opinion. And, they're going to be a lot of guys that you're going to get to know this year. And I feel like they're making the same moves, say, Cardinals team were making the pass. You know what I mean? Cardinals used to do this all the time, where they'll get rid of some familiar faces, but they had some guys replace them that are going to be really good. So I think that we're in that position right now. And I like what I see with the Dodgers, just hopefully that they don't start slow. That's my whole thing. This team with a new group coming in, it's not that new of a group, but with the new faces that they'll have in the lineup, they're going to have to win right away. So these guys understand exactly what the Dodgers are all about. And that's about winning and trying to get to this World Series. Because you know what the Dodgers' expectations are: World Series or bust. You know how it goes. They've already conquered the NL West. They've already conquered the idea of the NL. Now it's all about the ring or bust. And I think the Dodgers are in position, and they ain't chasing nobody. Teams are chasing them.
The scroll has been going the whole time, Pops. You can go over to the Twitter, as you like to say, at Pop DiBiase, at Prime Wave Media, hashtag the Prime Time Kappa. Tell everyone here before we close where to find all your work, Pops.
You guys can catch me, like you just said, on Twitter at Pop DiBiase. You guys can watch all the shows that I do daily on Twitter, on the YouTube Prime Wave Media, Also, you guys can follow me on the Instagram at DBICWave _. And I got a lot of stuff there as well, too. I do talking tickets on there as well. And if you guys are interested in becoming exclusive clients with the Primetime Sports Investors, you guys can always DM me on the Twitter and we can get you moving forward. We got the March Madness package going, and I still have the early bird special going throughout April as well, too. So you guys just hit me up, let me know what you want to do, and we move forward from there. And just a heads up, we did hit 3 out of 4 last night, and we did sweep on Sunday with the Super Bowl as well, too. We went 6-0. I usually only put out 4 bets, but we had a teaser there as well, too, Jeff, and we hit the teaser as well. So you guys just hit me up. If you guys want to enter that winner circle, come on down, and let's go ahead and get you cash and some tickets. But that's where you can find me. And once again, I thank you so much, Jeff, for your time and getting me on your show today and letting me talk a little bit of sports news with you today.
Always a pleasure. This is your time to shine. Tuesdays, 1 o'clock Eastern, 1:30 by the time we get rolling from the backstage. 10:30 your time on Tuesdays. Always a pleasure from us. It was great to follow all your work on Radio Row. The plan is next year to be right next to you. ECSI has some big plans to be there as well. We might fly the coop from Cape Cod and head on down to Sin City. We're supposed to be heading in there March 20th for a couple weeks for the second and third weeks of the tournament. T-Mobile is hosting a couple rounds as well. And then obviously the start of MLB. And then the fun really begins. It will be 2 weeks from the Masters and all that good stuff. So, Pops, thank you as always. To all the listeners, people watching out there, come follow us at EC Sports Invest, at Pop DiBiase. We answer questions if you ask them, unlike some of those other people, which we won't discuss. So, for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one and only Pop DiBiase at Prime Time. I like to call him Mr. Prime, the real Prime Time. We wish everyone a blessed day. Enjoy yourself, stay in your lanes, and we will see you soon.